Hi everyone, I'm Dianna Jacobsen from Shine at Leadership. I entered the world of business because I grew up seeing people leave businesses and not understand why they had done that. And I thought something needed to be done to help them. So I ventured into accounting and added counselling, financial planning, and I work also in the space of lending and legal insofar as it works in with business strategy. And one of the things that is super important is building a team. No one that ever accomplished anything of note did it alone. There's a number of things I'd like to touch on in today's session in a fast track kind of a framework. All of the standard business facets, marketing, money, and so on, we hear that all the time. There's any amount of information available out there. So what I wanted to do is just extend on that a little, because another thing that I saw many years ago was the difference between why some things worked for some people, but other people could employ exactly the same steps and not get the same result. And I came to realize very early in my journey as a business strategist that there was a huge degree of differentiation depending on people's mindset. Now, I realize that that might sound really out there and cosmic to a lot of people, but please bear with me. I'd love for you to listen to the next half an hour or so worth of content, all of which is very widely proven and backed and researched and reviewed and so on at very high channels all around the world. This is not just my opinion, but it really is a matter of combining mindset with money to manifest the material outcome that you want, whether that's in business and finance, or whether it's in health, relationships, or any other goals that we might like to aspire toward. There's a few things that I wanted to share today, starting with one of my diagrams. For anyone that's worked with me before, you'll know that I like working with diagrams. In business, we are taught to look at the bottom line, whether that's on our bank statement or a profit and loss statement. We're taught to weigh up the income, take off the expenses, squeeze the heck out of all of them, and hope that we come out with a profit. And I'm going to challenge some of your thinking possibly by saying you can't fix cash flow with cash, because it is about the turnover, but it's also about how we spend our time, our staff or our team, and the cost of our inputs, and our marketing. How do we share our message? All of these things impact on this bottom line and are impacted by the bottom line. If we've got the money, we put on the staff or we pay for the advertising. When we don't have the money, we pull back. So we end up continually in this highs and lows kind of pattern. Just as important is our health, the well-being of our family, our relationships, and our life balance. And just as significantly, all of these things impact on and are impacted by this bottom line. So there's already a lot of balls in the air. And as business owners, we just feel like it's this eternal juggle of all of these various balls, with the occasional one falling down and hitting us on the head. Fair point. So then I'm going to add another part to this. And it's actually a part of the solution, not an additional layer that we need to think about. It's our mindset, or our attitude, or our mood, whatever you'd like to call it, our outlook. And sometimes it's kind of struggling, and sometimes we're soaring, and most of the time we're somewhere in the middle. We have the days when we get the green lights and the parking spaces, and we have the days where we lose our keys and stub our toe and spill our coffee. We kind of hopefully aim for somewhere in the middle. But I'm here to let you know, and this isn't my wonderful epiphany, that where we sit in this mood, this attitude scale, this vibration, if you like, determines so much of the outcome with all of these other factors. So what I mean by that is, on a day when we are really struggling and our vibration, our mood, our attitude, our outlook is not great, they're the days that we go, oh, I knew it was going to be a terrible day. And we do two things. We look for other things that are going wrong to build evidence that our day is not great. But we also create those things because that's where we're focusing and intending. And as a society, this is what we do. We like dramatizing, we like catastrophizing, we like the attention, we like being a victim. There's actually, without getting into it, a series of chemicals that we get with all of those different emotions that we become addicted to, which can be switched around. But those fixes are toxic. We think that the adrenaline rush and the stress and the cortisol, keeps us going, but they're actually toxic, and particularly increasing quantities and for sustained periods of time. But what we can do is we actually have control over where we sit on this scale by what we think, and by realizing that our thoughts are not truth. And we have this thinking feeling kind of cycle that we think something and it makes us feel that thing. And when we feel that thing, we think more of the same thoughts. So we feel more of the same, and round and round and round it goes. And what this does, it actually builds up the neural pathways in our brain that foster those thoughts, foster that emotion, foster those chemicals, and unfortunately, foster more of the same results, because that's what we're putting our intention on. Scientists actually now have proven there's a vibrational energy, like an electromagnetic field, that goes out like a magnet and attracts and creates more of the same that match up with that. So back to our day where we're having either a great day or not, if we can just change how we're thinking, think about something completely different, sing a song, go for a quick walk, look at a picture of your dog or your garden or your motorbike or your grandkids. But if we can just raise our vibration, our mood, if we can take control and accountability and responsibility, then instead of this level of result, we'll get this level of result, and so on. And what happens is, just by raising our vibration a notch or two, we don't have to be up the top, we're not going to be Pollyanna every day, but by just not wallowing in the catastrophizing and not giving more energy than necessary when things don't flow as we'd like them to, then we maintain much more harmony, much more ease, much more peace of mind, and we can shine. This empowers us, and it actually gets a huge synergy and synchronicity, alignment of all of these other factors. Our health improves, our money improves, our outlook improves, our relationships improve, our staff interaction. Sounds weird, I get that. We'll dig into it a little bit more. When I work through business strategies and business coaching with people, we dig right into the turnover, the time, the team, and the talk, both the self-talk and the external talk, so your marketing. We won't drill into that today because, as I said, those business models are available everywhere. Mine might be a little bit different, I dare say. We've got recorded programs and all sorts of things for anyone that wants more information on that, workbooks and webinars and so on. But let's challenge the other side, the mindset, the life balance, the attitude, and the beliefs. Because I'm here to tell you that, believe it or not, it's like gravity. You don't have to believe in it, but it will play out. Believe it or not, your beliefs will trump your behavior. Let's have a look into this. Obligatory disclaimer, because we're touching on in the financial space and business space, and because I have a number of qualifications, I'll give the obligatory disclaimer that this is general advice. So with the mindset, think about this. When you take one step towards the goal, the universe moves the goal one step towards you. And what we mean by that is When we have that focus, when we have that intention, that direction, that purpose, that passion, and even just some energy around something, good or bad, we start seeing ripples of that. So if we think about a particular car we'd like to buy, we start seeing them everywhere. If we're thinking about buying a new washing machine, we see ads for washing machines or repair people for washing machines. And so it goes. And this is how it works. And it works the opposite. Whatever we're giving our energy to, the universe, the vibrational energy can't discern between positive and negative. It just accepts that intensity. And it works like a magnet. And it's called praxis, where behavior and beliefs align. So why wouldn't we work with that in our favor rather than against us? Another thought, when the voice and the vision on the inside are louder and more clear than the voices on the outside, you have truly mastered your life. Now, what that means is stop buying into the noise, stop buying into the society's quote unquote norm. Work out your own path, create your own destiny, create your own outcomes, your own results. It's not crowded along the extra mile. So we've talked about the light bulb moment. Take responsibility for your own vibration, your own energy. What's fueling your light bulb? Dig into the 4 T's, the turnover, the time, the team, and the talk. But for these to work, we absolutely need to underpin them with our mindset. We've got all of the terminology. What does it all mean? We can manage our time. And again, in our webinars and in our coaching programs, there's ways to break that down, and there's lots of other things available out there. Manage your time. Generally in small business, we're charging for our time, and we get snowed under by busyness as opposed to chargeable time. Work with your team, because your mood and your mindset need to lead your team. You need to be months out ahead of your team in terms of your thinking and your planning, but every day you need to be miles ahead of your team in that attitude. There's some of my team, the ones that were in at the office that day, sending their regards. It's got to be fun. And the values need to align. And then your talk, your marketing talk. So externally, how do we talk to that audience? How do we communicate our message? And our internal talk, what are we saying to ourselves? Are we talking it up, or are we talking ourselves down? Are you a glass half full person, or do you get stuck in that story, that thinking, feeling loop? What am I telling myself? And the more I tell it to myself, the more I feel it. The more I feel it, the more I tell it to myself. Instead, flip your thinking. Who is the wealthy you? What does that look and feel like in all aspects of life? Money, relationships, health, the choices you can make about where you live and lifestyle and who you spend your time with, what sort of occupation, what sort of hobbies you have, all of these things. Design that, because our subconscious mind, our autopilot, our programming, our paradigms, whatever you want to call it, operates at least 95% of our thoughts, our actions, our days, and our results. And yet we just keep following that groove. All the little neurons in the neural pathways that are already set follow the groove, but they don't have to. It is now proven that we actually can change right down to our DNA, let alone all the things above that. So our beliefs, our habitual behavior, our conditioning, our patterns, our programmings, right down to health situations that people say, oh, it's always in my family. That is a belief. That does not have to hold true for you. And again, I'm not going to go into the epigenetics around that, but on a quantum physics level, there is a huge amount of research since quantum physics was recognized in the 1940s, all of which is now strongly researched and validated around changing our subconscious thinking, because we take in information from our 5 senses, And we think that's reality. But what that is that's the actuality of right here and now. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind, so it can either accept or reject those ideas. Generally, we just let it flow through. We don't filter it, we don't consider it, and it just all flows through. We take it on board. Instead, this is where we should be vetting what's going through, challenging, questioning what beliefs, what habitual behaviors, what programming am I running by, and is that serving me? There's no blame around this. It doesn't matter where it came from. It's just, is that serving you now? Because the subconscious mind cannot choose whether it accepts or rejects. It just gets flooded with whatever comes in. And from there goes down to our body, the actions. And from the actions produce the results. And we look at the results and we're either happy and grateful, or we're disappointed or resentful or frustrated. And depending on what that feedback is, it loops back to our conscious or our subconscious, and we keep doing the same thing and getting the same results. The results don't lie. So you can tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself, but the results don't lie. So my question is, what belief about life must you have for your present results to be showing up? And the good news is that we can course correct. We can look at those results and we can consciously, mindfully, intentionally change our thinking, tweak our actions, and reprogram ourselves. So it's not just the physical action that's changing, but it's actually a belief within us that changes. So who is the wealthy you? Because it's like flicking a switch with that mind over matter. How does that person look and feel and think? What do you tell yourself? How do you see yourself and how do you feel about yourself? And the important thing is that you can change that. Be that which you want to become. Be that now. Be that out ahead of the actuality showing up in a physical form, and know that it's in that formless substance on its way if you can hold that belief. If you study The Science of Getting Rich with Wallace Wattles, he talks about the formless substance. It's not a very long book. It's in part of our courses with the Shine at Leadership and the Shine at Business modules, and it encapsulates it perfectly. It sums up that exact concept where hold on to that vision of what you want to create and become, and it will appear in actuality. Write yourself some goal cards. We have these little goal cards that we hand out where we get people to write on them. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and the result, the outcome, the goal. But it starts with our own self-image. Who must you be for the result that you want? It doesn't work the other way. It doesn't work that when I have money, I'll feel wealthy. We need to feel wealthy holistically in all facets for those results to be drawn to us, because it's like a vibrational level or a staircase. We've got to be on the right level, the right step to match into that which we want to create, become, and attract. Quantum physics teaches us, just like this painting by Michelangelo, that what we put out into the universe, into the ether, comes back. So what are you creating? What are you focusing on? What are you speaking about? What are you sharing? What are you imagining? What do you have on your vision boards or on your phone or in your screensaver? What are you creating? Right down to that DNA. And there's any amount of wonderful work on how this, validating how this works. You could look at anything by Lynn McTaggart, whose work I've studied for probably about 25 years, Joe Dispenza, Dr. Tara Swart, all sorts of fabulous teachers. Some are a lot more in-depth with the science than others. It's all validated, and it all starts with your self-image. So if we have a look at how this works, we stand here in the present. We tend to look back at the past and lament, moan, regret, feel guilt, feel shame about whatever has happened. And we come back to the present and we keep looking back at the past and we do the same thing and we keep creating the same outcomes. And this might be some sort of a tangled mess that we're still catastrophizing about and obsessing about. If there's something that we can address, if there are apologies needed, if there's some resolution required, by all means. But if this is just wallowing and beating yourself up, that is not helping. And in fact, it is creating more of the same, which again, not helpful. So what we need to do if we're standing here is we need to turn around and face forward. And quite often we find ourselves back in this because it is such an entrenched way of thinking that until we can override it with some stronger neural pathways and build the synaptic gaps in a different direction, then we default back to this. So we have to be focused, we have to be intentional. It's not hard, it just requires that willpower to continually override the old programming, the old talk track, the old script, face forward. If it means that you carry around a happy song in your head or on your phone that you can jump into that shifts your energy, do that as much as you can to throw in that intervention, break that pattern and face forward. And when I work with people, I hand out magic wands always for anyone that's worked with me to say, what would your magic wand have this future look like? Because you need to imagine that now for that to show up. And it's not about standing here and adding one brick at a time and coming up with all of the reasons that there's obstacles there, all the problems, all the challenges, real or perceived or imagined. So the magic wand jumps you over all of those perceived barriers to say, what does this look like and feel like? And then come back to today and build that one step at a time. So we can do that through this. We have a diagram here with the main areas of your life. And I always suggest to people that they get a nice little journal and draw this on the inside cover, and then allow half a dozen pages for each of the headings, beginning with you. And you just start with some dot points and continue to add to that over days, weeks, months, and years with that magic wand. What do I want this to look like? And vision boards are fantastic, pin-up boards and things like that, because our mind thinks in pictures. We get emotional when we see a picture of something, good or bad. So the more we can surround ourselves with things that A, make us feel good, to lift our vibration and therefore magnetize those things towards us, and B, help us to focus on and feel into the outcomes that we want to create. That is enormously beneficial. That feeds this vibration. Where are we at? If we're having a day where things haven't started out so great, we can either wallow into that and know that we'll just continue to create more throughout the day, or we can take responsibility and change gears. And sometimes that takes a bit of effort, but as long as we're mindful, we can make sure that we're playing happy music. We're just doing anything that shifts our vibration, because otherwise one thing after another will go wrong while we're in that low space. All of this actually changes your brain. And that works like this. These are all our little neural pathways, and you can see that some of these are quite strong and others are barely there, like little wispy things. So which of these programs, these, like it's a mental software, are strong for you, and which ones are you continually strengthening? Like our physical muscles, whichever ones you use, they'll get stronger and more dominant. And whichever ones you don't use, they'll atrophy and shrivel up and drop away. And at any point you can change this. We can rewire our whole programming, but we need to know what we're doing, as in what we're thinking, and be aware of what that's doing within us, not just in our mental capacity, but actually with our whole physiology, because every single thought, good or bad, floods us with either cortisol or serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline, all of these chemicals. Some are healing and restorative, some are toxic and will gradually cause dis-ease within our body. And we are responsible for that. Blaming anyone else, being a victim to any of your circumstances, regardless of what that looks like, certainly not invalidating that, but blaming and feeling like a victim don't help you in the long run. So how do you see yourself? How do you feel about yourself? How do you think about yourself? And how do you speak to yourself? Noetic science has been around for several decades, and it is the science of how you think, feel, see yourself, and speak about yourself, or anything else, how mind trumps matter, and how it always leads, our thinking and our feeling always lead our actuality. So it's really quite significant, yet very, very little understood. Think of examples of times when you were just in the flow. Things just went your way. And think of times when you weren't. But when you were in that flow, when things just went your way, the right people showed up, the right opportunities came across your desk, that's this synchronicity when you're just on the wavelength of what you wanted to create. Our brain waves are coherent, our physiology, so our heart rhythm and the other systems in our body get into sync. When we are scattered and fragmented in our thinking, when we are destructive or self-deprecating in what we're saying and thinking of ourselves or others or situations, then we're actually causing an incoherence throughout our body's systems. And this is where things like meditation, silence, self-reflection, a nice walk in nature without too much other noise coming in, prayer groups, all of those sorts of things serve to realign those body systems that get incoherent with so much noise and so much clutter coming at us. With those 9 squares, those areas, get honest with yourself. What are the results in each of those areas reflecting to you? Results don't lie. Perhaps review each area and rate yourself from a scale of 1 to 10 with how that's actually working out for you compared to what you might have liked it to be at this point in your life. And then set some goals around that. Just one step at a time. What's the intention? Don't rip yourself off. Because what we do is we're conditioned by A-type thinking. This is what we do every day and we just keep doing it. We don't always live 365 days of the year. We live one day 365 times. Sometimes we'll go up a level and we'll do something new. We'll set a goal, but it's usually something we know how to do, like buy a new car or build a house. So we haven't maybe done it before, but we know the steps. But if we decide to really shoot a bit higher, we'll get here. And this is this point of conflict. It's conflict between our conscious and our subconscious, because our subconscious wants to keep us safe. Our reptilian limbic brain jumps into play saying, you were always safe down here because I could predict and I knew what happened. You're not safe up here, so get back down into your box. And this is where we have what's called the terror barrier. It's like that gut feeling that we go, oh no, I had a bad feeling, so I crawl back under my rock. It's what I call good scary. So it's a calculated risk. It's going that extra mile. It's reaching for your purpose, your passion, your pathway, and not quitting on yourself, not giving in to those paradigms, all those voices that yell really, really, really loudly when you go beyond where you've gone before. And everyone hits this terror barrier before they reach the stars. It is estimated that 88% of people in life run back to here rather than keep going. So which side of the line are you on? Quick little story with intention. One of my team members, and we've all got lots of these stories, I loved this one, went on holidays. She loves reading articles about dinosaurs in the news when they find dinosaur bones. And they went to a beach where they were setting up camp. And she said to her husband, "I'd love to dig up dinosaur bones." She was digging a hole somewhere in the next hour to build a little campfire in, and she dug up this little fellow. That's what intention does. The problem is that we put barriers there. We get in our own way due to our beliefs, and we block this. We have so many beliefs about life, particularly about money, that we start saying we want something, and then all our paradigms go, "That's ridiculous. It'll never happen. It's not realistic." But the whole point is here, it doesn't have to be. Get all of that logic thinking away from blocking you, and set an intention and be deliberate about it. And where do we put our attention? One of my kids a couple of years ago, a few days before Christmas, said, "Can I have a hammock for Christmas?" And I said, "No, I've already got your gifts," and no. Within the few days after Christmas, we were doing some four-wheel driving in the bush, on a track, beyond a track, beyond a track. And at one point, way out where hardly anyone goes, I saw this little pile of rubbish. And I said, "Let's pull up here. We've got some plastic bags. We'll just pick up this little bit of rubbish." In amongst it was, in perfect condition, a hammock. And then where you put your intention and attention has a ripple effect. We've all felt the energy of people that we were resistant or uncomfortable to. We've all felt the energy from people that were appealing, uplifting, and we were interested to meet them, perhaps in a function or a barbecue or something. This is that energy. And our acts, those little random acts of kindness, or just showing by example, not lecturing people, but just being the example, have a ripple effect. This was first proven in scientific terms in the 1930s with Kirlian photography, where they realized that this aura, the energy that goes out from us and other living matter, so plants and animals, actually does have an energy and does have a vibration. Since then, there are methods and machines that can measure these, are obviously incredibly much more sophisticated, that there does not even need to be close proximity. You can be in another country, and the tests they've done with cells in a petri dish from a person who's in a different country watching a screen that shows either positive or negative pictures, and the cells in the dish will move towards or away from that, where that person is located on the other side of the world, to the front of the dish, to the back of the dish, all sorts of things like this. What we do has a ripple effect. So some equations for success in your business and in your life. Desire and direction will create your destiny. This is not fate. This is not you at the mercy of whatever happens. This is you choosing how you respond to whatever comes along. It doesn't mean that you're immune from what we would call bad situations, but it's how we handle them, our resilience, our empathy, our integrity, what we take from that and how we manage that. Our passion and our purpose create and paves our pathway. Our intention plus our integrity will make an impact. My favourite words, audacity and tenacity, will create your capacity, and your vibration and your visualization, voila. The sky is the limit. So where to from here? Choose to be positive, to think positive thoughts, create your vision, set your goals and intention, build a team, pay attention, be alert to the signals, the synchronicities, the opportunities, and focus on the outcome that you want. Most importantly, start today. A couple of quotes from two favourite teachers. Don't Die with Your Music Still in You by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And my wonderful teacher Graham O'Brien into the mystery. Thanks for joining us today. Go and shine.
I have been doing the Shine at Leadership training program for the last 12 months. I did it for myself because I had a problem with my self-image and my beliefs, and I found that doing this course has actually helped me visualise what I want, enabled me to stop and reflect a lot more on situations that are happening around me.
I realised that it was more than just an accountant I was getting, and the whole business model of Shine at Business is incredible because it doesn't just support you in the bookkeeping and the stuff that you need to do to run that side of your business, but it also helps you build your business and helps you believe in yourself. Di is definitely more than just an accountant. She inspired me and made me feel confident that I could actually achieve the goals and for the businesses that I had in the back of my head that I wanted to plan. It made me actually feel that I wasn't just dreaming, I could actually do this.
In 2021, when Dianna offered the opportunity to take part in her personal development course, Shine at Leadership, I was very keen to take part and more than a little nervous at the idea. I went into it and with a very open mind, but not understanding at all the enormous value that it would end up having to myself personally and also to our business. The Shine at Business part of the modules that made up Shine at Business were incredibly beneficial. It validated a lot of the work that we'd already been doing with Dianna.
I want to share with people an experience that I've had the last 12 months in joining Shine at Leadership. It's strange because we may not see ourselves as a leader in life, but in fact each one of us has that leadership.
I've been a part of the Shine at Leadership course that Dianna Jacobsen runs. I found it to actually be a wonderful course.
I started in the Shine at Leadership program partway through the year, so I didn't start right from the start. I didn't really know what to expect. It certainly made me want to improve myself, yes, definitely. It helped me think of ways that I can start to improve certain aspects of my life and to realise that I don't have to be a perfectionist.
I'd just like to congratulate Dianna Jacobsen on her 12-month program, Shine at Leadership, which I had the privilege of participating in. It started off with Shine at Business, so it was all business information, and then it went through the different areas of mindset, how we think, how we feel and how we act, and the outcomes that we get.